The Doctor, Vicky and Stephen find themselves on an arid and unstable planet with 3 suns. On leaving the TARDIS, they are quickly attacked by small acid-spraying machines that look a bit like beehives. Vicky thinks the machines look cute though, so she nicknames them Chumblies.
Chumblies.
Speaking of beehives, the travellers are rescued by several beautiful blonde women called 𝗲𝗏𝗀s.
All women?
Women?
Yes, feminine, female.
Oh, we have a small number of men, as many as we need. The rest we kill. They consume valuable food and fulfill no particular function.
Unlucky Steve. The 𝗲𝗏𝗀s explain that their spaceship was fired upon by a real spaceship, and the battle caused both the 𝗲𝗏𝗀 and the real ships to crash land. The 𝗲𝗏𝗀s are led by 𝗵𝗃, who explains that the Chumblies belong to the Rills, who are disgusting warlike creatures.
Disgusting.
The other 𝗲𝗏𝗀s are clones bred specifically for war and unable to think for themselves. Their leader 𝗵𝗃 is the only one capable of intelligent thought.
But I at least have enough intelligence to imagine it. Fear. The horror. The shuddering of a planet in its last moments of life. And then they die.
And when I say 𝗵𝗃 is capable of intelligent thought, I of course mean she is completely bonkers. The travellers discover that the planet is about to explode for some reason, and since her spaceship is busted, 𝗵𝗃 intends to capture the real ship so she can use it to escape. 𝗵𝗃 wants the Doctor to capture the real ship for her, but he tries to refuse.
In the first place, madam, I never kill anything.
So 𝗵𝗃 takes Stephen hostage and forces the Doctor and Vicky to go and capture the real ship. Predictably, at the real spaceship, Vicky immediately gets captured by the Chumblies, and the Doctor starts to sabotage the Rill's life support system.
This is the thing that gives them the gas to breathe with. I never kill anything.
Okay. Meanwhile, Stephen's 𝗲𝗏𝗀 guard falls asleep, so he tries to escape. Oh, Stephen, not in an airtight container. Stephen fails to escape, however, and the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s almost suffocate him by removing all the air from the room. Which is probably a good shout after Stephen's been in there for a while. Back on the Rill ship, Vicky comes face to face with the monstrous Rills. The Rills communicate with Vicky telepathically, and it turns out they're actually quite friendly. The Rills claim that the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s shot first in the space battle, but the Rills are so kind, they still offered to help the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s by giving them a lift off the dying planet.
What do we gain if they die?
The 𝗲𝗏𝗀s, of course, refused the help, instead preferring to attack the Rills without provocation. When they landed, the Rills saw 𝗵𝗃 killing one of her own wounded soldiers. The Rills offer to help rescue Stephen, so Vicky stops the Doctor's sabotage attempt, and the Doctor agrees to help the Rills by jump-starting their ship with power from the TARDIS.
What difference does it make what your form is?
The importance lies in the character. We respect you, as we respect all life.
Knowing that the planet is about to explode, however, the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s attack the Rill ship, but the Chumblies hold them back, whilst the Rill ship takes off. The Doctor and his companions head back to the TARDIS and arrive just moments before the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s attack them. The TARDIS dematerializes just as the planet begins to explode around the 𝗲𝗏𝗀s. The Rills looked like monsters, but they only wanted peace. The 𝗲𝗏𝗀s may have been beautiful, but they were certainly evil, proving that you should never judge by appearances. Meanwhile, Mark Corey, an agent of the Space Security Service, has been dispatched to the planet 𝗀𝗏𝗀 to investigate a recent sighting of a Dalek spaceship. Corey's spaceship crash lands on 𝗀𝗏𝗀, however, and the crew are attacked by poisonous Varga plants. These slow-moving but deadly plants were created by the Daleks, and one touch of their thorns causes you to become violently delirious before you eventually turn into another Varga plant. 𝗊𝗁 is forced to shoot and kill his infected companions, and he discovers that the Daleks are plotting with several other alien races to invade the galaxy, starting with Earth. 𝗊𝗁 records a warning message and tries to send it to Earth, but before he can send it, the Daleks get to him first and offer a traditional Dalek greeting. The TARDIS arrives on Earth around 1200 BC on the plains of Asia Minor near the city of Troy, which is under siege by a Greek army camped nearby. Outside the TARDIS, the legendary Greek warrior Achilles is fighting the Trojan prince Hector. The Doctor emerges from the TARDIS and distracts Hector, allowing Achilles the opportunity to kill Hector, much to the Doctor's anger.
Stop! You must not kick a man when he is down!
Since the Doctor apparently appeared out of nowhere and helped him to defeat Hector, Achilles believes that the Doctor is the Greek god Zeus.
It is well known that when you come amongst us, you adopt many different forms.
Oh, do I?
To Europa, you appeared as a bull. To Leda, as a swan. To me, in the guise of an old beggar. I beg your pardon, I do nothing of the kind. Oh, but still...
The Doctor plays along to try to make Achilles feel guilty about killing Hector, but Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, arrives, and he thinks that the Doctor could be a Trojan spy, so he forces the Doctor to return with them to the Greek army camp. Stephen follows them with the hope of rescuing the Doctor, but he's captured by a one-eyed Greek who's rather harshly called Cyclops. The Doctor can't prove that he is in fact Zeus, so he tells the truth that he is a time traveller with knowledge of the future. So the Greeks force him to come up with a plan to capture Troy. Or die. The TARDIS gets taken by the Trojans to the city of Troy, with Vicky still inside. Vicky emerges from the TARDIS inside the city, but the Trojans are suspicious when she tells them that she is a time traveller from the future, and they rename her 𝗃•𝗃 because apparently the name Vicky is too weird. The Trojans insist that 𝗃•𝗃 uses her future knowledge to help them defeat the Greeks, but she never actually gets around to coming up with a plan because she's too busy flirting with a Trojan called Troilus.
Perhaps I can come back later on, if there's any news, that is.
Well, you know where to find me, don't you? I mean, I don't expect I should be going out or anything.
I suppose not. Goodbye for the present, then. 𝗃•𝗃.
Bye, Troilus.
Meanwhile, the Doctor tries to teach the Greeks how to make flying machines launched by a catapult, but he quickly abandons that idea when Odysseus threatens to launch him from a catapult as a trial run. Stephen offers to disguise himself as a Greek to get himself deliberately captured by the Trojans so that he can rescue Vicky. Admiring his bravery, or stupidity, the Greeks allow him to leave their camp, and Stephen successfully gets captured and taken to Troy. The Doctor then comes up with a second, more familiar plan. He instructs the Greeks to construct a giant wooden horse full of soldiers. The Trojans can't resist a good horse, so when they take it into their city, the Greek soldiers can burst out and open the city gate from the inside to let the rest of their army in. The Greeks go ahead with the idea but force the Doctor to get in the horse with them. When the horse arrives in Troy, Vicky remembers her history classes and knows exactly what's about to happen, so she tricks Troilus, telling him to go and look for Stephen. Even though Troilus himself points out that that makes absolutely no sense, he agrees, mainly because he fancies Vicky. Outside the city, Troilus encounters Achilles and thinks that Vicky has sent him into a trap. Achilles and Troilus fight, but Achilles hurts his heel, allowing Troilus to get the advantage and kill Achilles, but not before Troilus himself is badly wounded. After nightfall, the Greek soldiers and the Doctor burst out of the wooden horse and ransack the city of Troy. In the chaos of the battle, the Doctor finds Vicky and the TARDIS, but Vicky explains that she has fallen in love with Troilus, and she can't leave him thinking that she betrayed him. Vicky decides to stop travelling in the TARDIS and stay here with Troilus, so she says a very brief goodbye to the Doctor, and finds Troilus out on the plains.
I didn't betray you. That's why I stayed behind. I wanted you to know that I didn't. The main thing is, I belong here now with you. If you'll have me.
𝗃•𝗃.
There's only us now.
Back in Troy, Stephen is badly wounded in the battle, so the Doctor asks a servant girl called Katerina to help get Stephen back to the TARDIS. She enters the TARDIS with the Doctor and Stephen, and seeing the inside of the TARDIS, she believes that she must be dead, and the TARDIS is taking her to the afterlife. The Doctor, fearing for Stephen's life, dematerializes immediately with 𝗃𝗃𝗃 still on board, hoping to land somewhere they can find medicine to treat Stephen's wounds.
And remember, Katrina, you must call me Doctor.
Oh, as you wish, Doctor.
I am not a dog. I am not a god. Oh, my dear Vicky, I hope you'll be all right. There's your Mr. Child.
𝗃𝗃𝗃 is confused by the many wonders that she has seen, but she remains convinced that the Doctor is a god, escorting her to the place of perfection in the afterlife. The TARDIS materializes on the planet 𝗘𝗏𝘀, where the Doctor and his companions meet 𝗵𝗏, a space security service agent who is looking for 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘁𝗀, who got exterminated here in the story Mission to the Unknown.
Sir, will you shut up?
The Doctor and Brett don't quite get along to start with.
Then we have to stop the Daleks. Now will you shut up, sir?
But after Brett helps to treat Stephen's wounds, the Doctor and Brett realise they both want the same thing: to find out what the Daleks are doing on 𝗘𝗏𝘀. The Daleks have convened on 𝗘𝗏𝘀 a council of representatives from several galaxies, with the intention of forming an alliance to conquer Earth's galaxy. The Daleks have constructed a powerful weapon called the Time Destructor, but they need a large quantity of a rare mineral called terranium. This mineral is only found in Earth's solar system, so the Daleks have enlisted the help of the human leader, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝘃, guardian of the solar system.
When I am next to the Daleks, only they stand between me and the highest position in the universe. Then will be the time for me to take complete control.
Despite 𝗵𝗃𝗀 already being the ruler of Earth's solar system, he has betrayed the Earth because he is greedy for even more power, which the Daleks have promised him once they have conquered Earth, and in return he provides them with terranium. Learning of the Daleks' plan thanks in part to the recording left in the jungle by 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘃, the Doctor decides to infiltrate the council meeting to find out more details. So that the Doctor can take his place at the meeting, Brett subdues Representative 𝗃𝗏𝗀, ruler of Galaxy 5, who seems to be some sort of sentient vegetable in a cloak. As Brett, Stephen and 𝗃𝗃𝗃 steal 𝗵𝗃𝗀's spaceship, an alarm sounds, and in the chaos, the Doctor manages to steal the terranium that 𝗵𝗃𝗀 has provided for the Daleks. Having escaped on Chen's spaceship, the Daleks pull the ship off course and force them to land on the prison planet 𝗃𝗏𝗄, where a convict stows away and reveals himself only after they've taken off again. The convict demands that they change course and takes 𝗃𝗃𝗃 as a hostage and backs into an airlock. As the Doctor and Stephen try to negotiate with the man, 𝗃𝗃𝗃 pushes a button, opening the outer airlock doors and sucking them both out into space, killing them instantly.
She didn't understand. She couldn't understand. She wanted to save our lives, and perhaps the lives of all the other beings of the solar system. I hope she's found her perfection. Yes, but not that way. Oh, I shall always remember her as one of the daughters of the gods. Yes, as one of the daughters of the gods.
Meanwhile, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 has instructed space security agent Sarah Kingdom to track down and kill Brett and the other traitors and recover the terranium.
They will be shot on sight, but aim for the head.
The Doctor, Stephen and Brett land on an experimental station near Earth, where they are confronted by Sarah Kingdom, who kills Brett. The experimental station is running experiments on teleporting, and Sarah, Stephen and the Doctor, and some mice, get accidentally teleported to the planet 𝗃𝗏𝗃, where they encounter invisible monsters. And the Daleks.
An alien device. There are small white creatures inside. They may be hostile. Destroy it.
The Doctor and Stephen convince Sarah that 𝗵𝗃_𝗀 is a traitor, and Sarah now has a very personal reason for wanting to see 𝗵𝗃_𝗀 brought to justice.
Brett Fine was my brother.
Stephen splats mud on a Dalek's eye stalk, allowing them to steal the Dalek's spaceship and escape Mira, but the Daleks pull the ship back to 𝗀𝗄𝗀 with a magnetised beam. Back on 𝗀𝗄𝗀, the Doctor tricks the Daleks by giving them a fake terranium core that he's constructed, and he, Stephen and Sarah escape in the TARDIS. The TARDIS materialises on Earth outside a police station in the 1960s, and then on a film set in the 1920s where they meet Charlie Chaplin and Bing Crosby. Since none of the travellers are from 20th century Earth, they have no idea what's going on.
The strange man kept telling me to take my clothes
Now, come along, we must go back to the TARDIS. This is a madhouse, it's all full of Arabs.
Okay. Anyway, after some slapstick comedy, the travellers head back to the TARDIS, and the Doctor wishes you a Merry Christmas.
Incidentally, a Happy Christmas to all of you at home.
Meanwhile, the Daleks have realised that the terranium is fake when their time destructor isn't destructing any time.
The core is worthless.
No, it can't be. It came from Uranus.
Okay,
You make your incompetence sound like an achievement.
so politicians are still the same in the future then?
Report to Scarrow. They must send a time machine to us immediately.
Or they could just send it yesterday? Knowing they are being pursued by another time machine, the TARDIS lands near an erupting volcano. After stepping out of the TARDIS, however, it is revealed that the time machine pursuing them was not the Daleks, and it was in fact the meddling monk. The monk escaped 1066 where the Doctor marooned him last season. The monk bypassed the dimensional controller and was able to use his TARDIS, albeit uncomfortably. As revenge, the monk sabotages the lock on the Doctor's TARDIS, preventing them from getting in, until the Doctor fixes it by reflecting the sun through his ring toward the door, which makes it open. Now running from the Daleks and the meddling monk, the TARDIS lands in ancient Egypt, where the monk is forced to help the Daleks.
Just a passing time traveller, anxious to be on his way, so if you'll excuse me, I'll...
Out!
The ancient Egyptians try to fight off the Daleks, and the Doctor changes the appearance of the monk's TARDIS to resemble a familiar police box, so that the Daleks chase him instead of them. The Daleks capture Stephen and Sarah, so the Doctor is forced to give them the real terranium. But the Doctor has taken the directional unit from the monk's TARDIS, which allows him to pilot his own TARDIS back to 𝗀𝗄𝗀. Unfortunately, the directional unit burns out after one trip due to it being incompatible with the Doctor's model of TARDIS. Back on 𝗀𝗄𝗀, the Daleks have decided to kill all the delegates, making it unclear why the Daleks tried to form an alliance with them in the first place. But Stephen and Sarah help the delegates to escape, leaving only 𝗵𝗃_𝗀 with the Daleks. Or as the Doctor calls him,
𝗵𝗃_𝗀.
𝗵𝗃_𝗀 still thinks he's in control and that the Daleks will make him Emperor of the Universe after they've conquered it for him. The Daleks aren't too keen on the idea of sharing their power though, and 𝗵𝗃_𝗀 tries to shoot the Supreme Dalek, so they exterminate him.
Cannot turn against me. I, 𝗵𝗃_𝗀, first ruler of the universe, am immortal. You cannot.
The Doctor tells Stephen and Sarah to go and wait for him in the TARDIS, while he infiltrates the Dalek control room, and while the Daleks are busy exterminating 𝗵𝗃_𝗀, the Doctor grabs the time destructor and activates it. The Daleks are too afraid to fire on the Doctor for fear of damaging the time destructor, so the Doctor is able to leave and heads back to the TARDIS. Sarah has ignored the Doctor's instructions to stay in the TARDIS, and she finds the Doctor in the jungle, struggling with the now active time destructor, which is beginning to accelerate the aging of everything around it. Sarah succumbs to the time destructor's effects and begins to rapidly age, eventually becoming nothing but a skeleton in the sand. The Doctor also succumbs to the effects of the rapid aging, and he falls to his knees, only to be rescued by Stephen, who switches the time destructor into reverse, allowing the Doctor to de-age and giving him the strength to return to the safety of the TARDIS.
Come on, Doctor. No, don't touch me. I'll help you. You'll get back to the ship. Get back!
The Daleks arrive, but they can't stop the Time Destructor either, as it rots away their casings and de-ages the mutant creatures inside to the point where they are nothing but embryonic blobs on the floor. After the Time Destructor is depleted, the Doctor and Stephen emerge from the TARDIS to survey the barren and desolate landscape that used to be the jungles of 𝗀𝗃𝗀.
Let's go, Doctor. I've seen enough of this.
Well, my boy, we finally rid this planet of Daleks.
Brent, Katerina.
Sarah. What a waste. What a terrible waste.
The TARDIS arrives in Paris in the year 1572. Excited to be in medieval France, the Doctor decides to visit the famous apothecary Charles Preslin, while Stephen wants to see more of the city. And by that, I mean he heads straight for the local tavern. Catholics and Protestants don't get along in France in 1572, or at any other time or place for that matter. So in this period, the Catholic King Charles IX decides to marry his Catholic sister to a Protestant prince to help calm the tensions. Many prominent and wealthy Protestant leaders were therefore in Paris, having just attended the wedding. The king's mother, Queen Catherine de' Medici, wants the throne to stay Catholic, however, so she and several other Catholic leaders plan to massacre all the Protestants in Paris. In the tavern, Stephen befriends a group of Protestant Huguenots, and they rescue a young girl from a group of pursuing guards. The young girl is 𝗵𝗃𝗃. Remember that name, it'll be important later. And she overheard the Catholic leaders discussing the plot to kill the Protestants.
At dawn tomorrow, this city will weep tears of blood.
One of the prominent Catholic leaders involved in the plot is a priest called the Abbot of Amboise, who looks exactly like the Doctor.
Fetch her tomorrow. Bring her to me.
They look so similar that Stephen thinks he is the Doctor, pretending to be the Abbot.
That's the Doctor.
When confronted, the Abbot accidentally gives away the details of a plot to assassinate one of Stephen's new friends, the Protestant military leader, Admiral de Coligny. Stephen tries to warn the Admiral, but fails to stop the assassination attempt. Fortunately, sniper rifles weren't really a thing in the 1500s, and the assassin is quite rubbish, so he only manages to shoot the Admiral in the arm. The Catholic conspirators blame the Abbot of Amboise for the failed assassination attempt because he leaked information to Stephen, so they kill the Abbot and leave his body in the gutter, enraging the Catholic population of the city. Stephen sees the body and thinks it's the Doctor, but he almost gets killed by an angry mob, so he and 𝗵𝗃𝗃 run to hide in the apothecary's shop. Stephen is searching the shop for the TARDIS key, assuming that the now deceased Doctor must have left his clothes there before changing into his Abbot of Amboise disguise. Unable to find the key, Stephen and Anne spend the night together in the shop, presumably in separate beds. In the morning, the Doctor arrives, alive and well.
Yes, well, I was unavoidably delayed. Never mind that now. Come along, we must go. Come along.
Oh, well, I'm glad that's cleared up. The Doctor finds out the exact date from 𝗵𝗃𝗃 and immediately realises that St. Bartholomew's Day is tomorrow and the religious massacre is about to happen. The Doctor tells Anne to go home, although Stephen argues and wants her to stay with them.
Doctor, I don't think she should go.
Now, off you go, my child. Off you go.
I can't! They'll kill me!
You must leave this shop, child.
Doctor, what's happened?
Oh, please don't interfere.
Stephen and the Doctor head back to the TARDIS without Anne, and after the TARDIS dematerialises, the massacre of the Protestants begins. The whole city and surrounding area erupts into rioting and chaos, leaving thousands of Protestants dead, which was Queen Catherine de' Medici's plan all along. In the TARDIS, Stephen is angry at the Doctor for leaving Anne behind to die.
The girl! The girl was with me! If you brought her with her, she needn't have died. But no, you had to leave her there to be slaughtered.
The Doctor tries to explain that he cannot, or will not, change history.
I was right to do as I did. I dare not change the course of history.
I tell you this much, Doctor. Wherever this machine of yours lands next, I'm getting off. If your researches have so little regard for human life, then I want no part of it.
The TARDIS materialises in London, 1966, and Stephen walks out, never to return. The Doctor sits alone in the TARDIS, lamenting the fact that all his companions have left him.
They're all gone. All gone. None of them could understand. Not even my little Susan. Perhaps I should go home. Back to my own planet. But I can't.
But before the Doctor can leave, a young woman rushes into the TARDIS looking for a telephone.
A little boy's been hurt and I've got to phone the police.
Oh, well, I'm afraid I can't help you. No, you must run along and phone the police somewhere else. And at the same time, phone for an ambulance.
Wait a minute. If this isn't a police box, what is it? And who are you?
Well, my dear, I'm a doctor of science, and this machine is for traveling through time and relative dimensions in space. Now, you...
Come again?
The Doctor tells her to leave, but before she can, Stephen runs back in and tells the Doctor that 2 police officers are about to discover the TARDIS. The Doctor knows what will happen if the Earth authorities find an alien with a time machine on Wimbledon Common, so he shuts the doors and takes off.
Doctor, how could you?
What else could I do, dear boy? You don't want a couple of policemen aboard the TARDIS, do you?
Considering Stephen couldn't get into the TARDIS without the key earlier that very day, why doesn't the Doctor just lock the door?
Well, tell me, young man, what made you change your mind?
He probably forgot his stuffed panda.
What is your name, child?
Dodo.
What?
It's Dorothea, really. Dorothea Chaplet.
The Doctor and Stephen think that Dodo Chaplet could be the distant relative of 𝗵𝗫 𝗀𝗀.
Doctor? It's not possible, is it? Shapley? Anne's great...
Yes, it is possible, my boy.
Assuming Anne married someone with the same surname as hers, yeah, sure, why not?
And don't you think she looks rather like my grandchild Susan?
Bit creepy, Doctor.
This is no joyride, you know. You may never get home again.
I don't care.
That's fortunate.
What about your parents?
I haven't got any.
Well, that's convenient.
Welcome aboard the TARDIS, Miss Dorothea Chaplet.
Dodo.
Oh, my dear, my dear.
Millions of years into the future, at a time when the Earth is about to plunge into the sun, Dodo, now dressed like a playing card, is enjoying the adventure.
Why are you dressed in these stupid clothes? Have you been footling about in my wardrobe?
The TARDIS has materialised on a ship called the Ark, a giant spaceship carrying the last of Earth's plant, animal and human life, most of which has been miniaturised and kept in suspended animation. The Ark is on a 700-year voyage to 𝗵𝗀𝘀cie, a planet that the ship's crew hope to colonise and start anew. A few humans called Guardians are in charge of flying and maintaining the ship, along with their mute servants, who are one-eyed monsters called monoids. You gonna eat that, mate? The Guardians are building a statue to commemorate the epic journey, and it will take them the whole 700-year journey to complete.
Hey, that's gear.
Dodo has a cold, which starts to infect and kill both the human and monoid crew of the ship. That's right, Dodo threatens to make the human race extinct. That's irony for you. The Guardians are obviously mistrustful of the Doctor and his companions, and threaten to execute them.
That the nature of man, even in this day and age, hasn't altered at all. You still fear the unknown, like everyone else before you.
The Doctor, however, proves the infection was an accident by creating a vaccine for the virus. So the Guardians allow the TARDIS to depart. But the TARDIS materialises back on the Ark, 700 years into the future.
They finished the statue.
And the monoids have taken over the ship.
We are now the masters.
During the 700-year voyage, the monoids overthrew their human masters and enslaved them, forcing them to work in the security kitchen.
Take them away to the security kitchen.
I'd hate to think what they're putting in the food. The monoids intend to colonise 𝗵𝗀𝘀𝘀 alone, leaving the humans aboard the Ark with a hidden bomb. When the Ark arrives at 𝗃𝗃cie, the monoids send down a scout party to check that it's safe, including the Doctor and Dodo. The planet is inhabited by creatures who have turned invisible due to a solar flare, who the monoids immediately anger by throwing their flowers on the floor. The invisible creatures prevent the scout party from reporting back to the Ark, so the monoids head down to the planet, thinking it's safe. The monoids accidentally give away the location of the bomb on the Ark.
What do you mean? Are you up to something?
No.
A violent power struggle breaks out among the monoids on the planet. In the chaos, the Doctor warns Stephen and the humans on the ship that the monoid bomb is hidden in the giant statue. The invisible 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘀cie help the humans to jettison the giant statue just seconds before it explodes. With the help of the Doctor, the monoids and the humans are convinced to live together on 𝗃𝗃𝗀𝘃cie in peace, now that both sides have suffered the injustice of slavery.
Yes, you must travel with understanding as well as hope. You know, I once said that to one of your ancestors a long time ago. However, we must be going. Goodbye.
On board the TARDIS, Stephen and Dodo have been fertling in the Doctor's wardrobe again, when the Doctor suddenly disappears.
I'm still here.
The TARDIS has arrived in the strange, fantastical domain of the Toymaker, which he's decorated with a giant doll's house and some robotic Teletubbies.
That's me! What is? Here, on the screen!
The Toymaker created this strange world and can alter it around him at will.
Go from move 930.
The Toymaker is a powerful, eternal being that likes to play with dolls, which is actually even more creepy when you consider that the dolls used to be real people. Being immortal, the Toymaker is understandably quite bored, so he wants the Doctor to become his new companion to keep him entertained.
I'm bored. I love to play games, but there's no one to play against. The beings who call here have no minds, and so they become my toys. But you will become my perpetual opponent. We shall play endless games together, your brain against mine.
The Toymaker takes the TARDIS, and to win it back, Stephen and Dodo are forced to play a series of children's games with a twist. The twist being that if they lose, they will either die or become the Toymaker's playthings forever.
Don't you like my little game?
No, I don't.
As a punishment for trying to help Stephen and Dodo, the Toymaker makes the Doctor invisible, except for just one floaty hand. The Doctor's floaty hand is then forced to play a trilogic game, which involves him tediously moving triangles around a board in a specific sequence, which I think qualifies more as a method of torture than a game. If the Doctor makes a mistake or finishes the game before Stephen and Dodo find the TARDIS, everyone will become the Toymaker's eternal toy. To recover the TARDIS, Stephen and Dodo are forced to play blind man's buff against a pair of sinister, cheating clowns, but they win by accident when one of the clowns accidentally falls over. Next, they are forced to play a deadly game a bit like musical chairs against several human playing cards, including the King and Queen of Hearts. Oh, and to think Dodo wasted her playing card outfit on the last story. Dodo narrowly avoids getting frozen to death by sitting on the wrong chair, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase freezing your ass off. Eventually, Stephen and Dodo win by accident again, when the King and Queen of Hearts accidentally sit on the last deadly chair. The next game is Find the Key in the Kitchen. Spoiler alert, it was in the pie.
Where? In the pie!
Stephen and Dodo are then confronted with a hypnotic dance floor, which forces you to dance with creepy ballerinas if you step on it. Stephen tricks the ballerinas, though, by making a dash for the TARDIS as they swap partners.
Your friends are tiring, Doctor.
The final game is, I want to say, hopscotch? Stephen and Dodo roll a dice and jump from triangle to triangle, avoiding an electrified floor, whilst a fully grown man called Cyril, who is dressed as a schoolboy, tries to cheat and make them fall off. Cyril, however, forgets that he put slippery powder on one of the triangles, and he slips to his death on his own trap, causing Stephen and Dodo to once again win by accident. Having won the TARDIS back, and I use the term won very loosely here, the Doctor, who is now visible again, refuses to make the last move of the Trilogic game because beating the Toymaker at his own game will cause the Toymaker's fantastical world to be destroyed, along with everyone still in it.
You have been defeated.
We will see, old man. The game is not yet over.
From within the TARDIS, the Doctor imitates the Toymaker's voice and commands the Trilogic game to finish itself, causing the Toymaker's bizarre realm to be destroyed, just as the TARDIS dematerializes.
We'll never see him again, will we, Doctor?
Oh, my dear. Don't talk too soon. The mind is indestructible. So is the Toymaker.
What, you mean he can never be destroyed?
But you defeated him!
Yes, just at this moment, but there will be other meetings. In another time.
The Doctor tries one of the sweets left over from the Toymaker's realm, and immediately gets toothache. The TARDIS has arrived in the town of Tombstone in the Wild West. The Doctor passes himself and his companions off as travelling entertainers, mainly as a way to explain why Dodo and Stephen are dressed as Toy Story's Jessie and Woody.
Doctor Who? Yes, you're quite right.
The Clanton family are in town looking for revenge against Doc Holliday because he killed their brother. Because he has toothache, the Doctor visits the town dentist, who happens to be Doc Holliday.
Well, I must say this is most unprofessional. I do hope you know what you're doing.
I never tolerated any complaints yet.
Stephen and Dodo decide to wait for the Doctor at the Last Chance Saloon, where they meet the Clantons. When Stephen mentions waiting for the Doctor, the Clantons assume he means Doc Holliday, and they force Stephen and Dodo at gunpoint to stay and entertain them.
The girls come to Tombstone in their high silk hose. They'll dance on the tables or give you a tune.
To be fair, the bar for entertainment in the Wild West was pretty low. After a rather comical tooth extraction, Doc Holliday gives the Doctor his guns and hat so that the Clantons will shoot the Doctor instead of him. And it almost works until the Doctor pulls a switcheroo on the Clantons and holds them up at gunpoint. This causes the town marshals, Virgil and Wyatt Earp, to lock up the Doctor for his own safety. Doc Holliday and his girlfriend Kate take Dodo captive and leave town to stop Dodo from telling the Clantons who Doc Holliday really is.
Just relax.
The Clantons take Stephen captive to lure out the Doctor, who they still think is Doc Holliday. To be fair, they probably also liked his singing voice. Just kidding, no one enjoyed that. The Clantons whip up an angry crowd and threaten to hang Stephen if the Doctor doesn't come out of the jail, but Wyatt Earp puts a stop to it by bonking one of the Clantons on the head. Meanwhile, Dodo steals a gun from Doc Holliday and makes him promise to take her back to Tombstone. Considering how Doc Holliday is considered one of the finest gunmen in the West, this makes Dodo a total badass, for about 3 seconds until she faints. To deal with Doc Holliday and the Earp brothers, the Clantons have enlisted the help of Johnny Ringo, a mercenary for hire who wants to see Doc Holliday dead because apparently the Doc stole Kate away from him.
I'd blast you down as soon as spit at you.
Thanks.
The Clantons shoot the youngest Earp brother and bust their own brother out of jail, causing Wyatt Earp to go rogue and seek unlawful vengeance in the form of gratuitous shooting. Doc Holliday returns to town with Dodo as promised, and he joins up with the Earp brothers. The scene is now set for a showdown at the 𝘂𝗃𝗀𝗀.
So the cards they are drawn and the chips they are down. Then outlaws and lawmen are heading for town, and the Earps and the Clantons are aiming to meet at the 𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗀 near Calamity Streets.
Now!
Unfortunately, the Clantons are terrible shots. Johnny Ringo tries a sneak attack on the Earps from behind, but Doc Holliday catches him. Fortunately, Dodo is on hand to get captured for the third time in this story, but she causes Johnny Ringo to stumble, allowing Doc Holliday the opportunity to shoot him down. The Earps finish off the Clantons, and the travellers return to the TARDIS.
You know, you're fast becoming a prey to every cliché-ridden convention in the American West.
You know, Doctor, I couldn't have summarised this story better myself. The TARDIS arrives on an unnamed distant world in the far future. The Doctor has heard that this is an age of peace and prosperity. Leaving the TARDIS to explore, the Doctor takes with him a mysterious machine. It's never made clear exactly what the Doctor is going to do with the machine, so I'll leave that to your imagination after hearing the name.
This is my RV, you see. This is my reacting vibrator.
The Doctor meets some patrolling guards in the jungle and gets escorted to a brilliant futuristic city where he is greeted by friendly elders who have been tracking the Doctor's adventures through time and space. They welcome the Doctor as an honoured guest, but outside, Stephen and Dodo get attacked by primitive savages with spears. Fortunately, the guards from the city rescue Stephen and Dodo and take them to the city too, where Stephen is given an ornate dagger as a gift, and Dodo is given a diamond-encrusted mirror, because, you know, boys like to fight things and girls like to look pretty. Speaking of pretty, the occupants of the city are all healthy, intelligent and sophisticated, but they seem reluctant to reveal the secret of all their advancements, so Dodo gets suspicious and wanders off to snoop around. The city dwellers suggest that maybe Dodo is playing an impromptu game of hide-and-seek.
Oh, not even Dodo would be as stupid as that.
Oof, looks like the spear-throwing guys aren't the only savages around here. Dodo discovers a secret lab/torture chamber beneath the city, where it's revealed that the city folk are stealing the life energy from the primitives to make themselves more intelligent. Blimey.
Doctor, do you realize that with our knowledge we can make the brave man braver, the wise man wiser, the strong man stronger? We can make the beautiful girl more beautiful still.
Obviously doesn't work on men, though. Naturally, the Doctor doesn't approve.
You are standing in the way of human progress.
Human progress, sir. How dare you call your treatment of these people progress?
They are hardly people, Doctor. They are not like us.
I fail to see the difference.
Do you not realize that all progress is based on exploitation?
Exploitation indeed! This, sir, is protracted murder!
Stephen and Dodo escape from the city and meet up with the primitives who take them into the cave where they live.
Caves? You live there?
Yes. Like animals. Like animals.
Meanwhile, the Doctor is strapped into the transference machine and his life energy is stolen from him.
If we are able to achieve this transfer successfully, we will be able to do the same with the other time travelers.
The young man and the girl.
Stephen and Dodo convince the primitives that the only way to stop this oppression is to fight, but the primitives are afraid of the city's guards, who are armed with light guns that freeze you and force you to follow the owner's commands.
If you don't fight them, you'll always suffer. Obviously, you have never faced the light guns.
Stephen manages to overpower the guard in the cave by using Dodo's mirror to bounce back the light from the light gun. Now armed, Stephen and Dodo rescue the Doctor from the city and help him to recover with some medicine from the TARDIS. The city's leader, Jano, has decided to transfer all the Doctor's life energy to himself, because it wouldn't be safe to test it on anyone else, right? But Jano gets more than he bargained for, as he also absorbs the Doctor's conscience.
Yes, you see, Jano is now saddled with the sense of right and wrong, which makes him an explosive element in a civilization such as his.
Jano, now sporting a shiny new conscience, helps the Doctor and the primitives infiltrate the city once more, and Jano decides it's time to put an end to the inhuman practice of life-stealing.
These people whom you call savages are our equals. What we have done to them is wrong.
So everyone enjoys a good old-fashioned game of Smash Up the Lab.
There's something very satisfying in destroying something that's evil, don't you think?
Yes!
Jano now understands how rotten their society truly is and believes that they need guidance from the Doctor to move forward.
But the fear and hatred of the past will only die slowly. We need someone like yourself as a mediator until we have become one people.
But the Doctor refuses. The Primitives have seen that Stephen set them free by showing them how to fight for what they believe in, and both parties agree that Stephen would make an excellent new leader.
You would give us new hope. Our people will become great again. We will learn to live as equals without bitterness.
You think I can do it?
Yes, I do. And you're the only man who can, my boy.
Very well. I will stay.
Stephen decides to stay and become the new leader of both the Primitives and the City Dwellers, to end exploitation and to unite the two factions as one.
I shall miss you both, Dodo.
Je miss you.
The cave-dwelling Primitives weren't the savages after all. The real savages were the supposedly advanced society living in the city.
Well, I must say, young man, I'm very proud of you.
Doctor, I don't know if
I know, my boy. Well, go on, you mustn't keep them waiting.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye, Stephen, and good luck.
The Doctor and Dodo say their goodbyes and head back to the TARDIS.
Doctor, you think we'd ever see him again?
Oh, who knows, my dear? In this strange complex of time and space, anything can happen. Come along, little one, let's go.
The TARDIS arrives back in swinging 60s London. Dodo is glad to be home, but the Doctor senses something evil happening in the newly constructed post office tower.
Look at my skin. Look at that. I've got that pricking sensation. That sensation again, the same. Just as I had when I thought the Daleks were near.
Probably another increase in the price of stamps. Inside the tower, Professor Brett has constructed a problem-solving computer machine called Wotan, and it wants to take over the world.
Well, now this machine, which I call Wotan...
You call what?
Wotan, spelled W-O-T-A-N, will operating thought analog.
Yes, quite.
Sorry, I forgot, you have to pronounce it in a German accent to really hammer home the Nazi metaphor. The machine is called Wotan, spelt with a W. Wotan can think for itself. It's an artificial intelligence that will soon be connected to other machines all around the world. Can you imagine computers all over the world being somehow connected and able to communicate with each other? These 60s writers had some crazy ideas about the future.
Correct?
You know, if you hooked up a screen to that thing, you'd save a lot of money on printer ink. Wotan believes that mankind is no longer fit to develop the Earth, so naturally it should take over running the place.
Wotan has decided the world cannot progress further with mankind running it.
Oh, really? And what does Wotan propose to do about it? Take over from her?
From now on, we are to serve.
And if we choose not to, I suppose mankind will be eliminated.
If it is necessary.
Wotan isn't just a power-crazy network printer, though, because it's actually able to hypnotize people over the phone. Can you imagine people being influenced against their will through a phone? These 60s writers had some really crazy ideas about the future. Wotan quickly hypnotizes several people and instructs them to start building war machines, giant robots designed to take over London and menacingly smash through stacks of boxes. Wotan wants to hypnotize the Doctor because of his special brain.
Who is required?
Top priority is to enlist Doctor Who.
Wotan hypnotizes Dodo so she can lure the Doctor in.
Doctor Who must be enlisted into our services tonight.
Why is everyone calling him Doctor Who? Anyway, Dodo has a headache after getting hypnotised, so instead of just offering an aspirin, Professor Brett's secretary, Polly, offers to take Dodo to the hottest night spot in town.
Hello, Polly. How do you do?
Now, Polly's pretty smart. A cracking typist, right? Also rather a cheeky one at times.
At the club, Polly tries to cheer up a sad seaman called Ben.
Stand by, Dodo. This looks like a rescue mission. The Navy's in trouble. Excuse me.
Ben's sad because he's got to work on shore for 6 months, and he misses the excitement and adventure of serving on board a ship. A sleazy guy in the club starts getting aggressive with Polly.
Please take your arm away.
Oh, come on, darling. I know your type. You'll have a better time with me than with old Shorty there.
But Ben comes to her rescue.
I'll chop your little bits.
What a hero.
You want to be careful who you encourage.
You conceited...
Okay, forget I said hero. Polly ignores Ben being a jackass, mainly because it's the 1960s, so she offers to buy Ben lunch to say thanks for rescuing her from the other jackass. But before Polly can make her lunch date the next day, she gets hypnotised by Wotan and is forced to join the war machine constructing labour force. Wotan attempts to hypnotise the doctor over the phone, but the doctor resists. Dodo, still hypnotised herself, thinks that the doctor is now on Team Wotan, so she gives herself away to the doctor.
Construction has already begun.
The doctor is able to free Dodo from Wotan's mind control, and Sir Charles, an old friend of the doctor's, suggests Dodo goes to his house in the countryside to recover from the ordeal. Dodo agrees, she heads off to the countryside, and she's never heard from again, which the doctor bizarrely doesn't find suspicious at all. Ben goes looking for Polly after she misses their lunch date, and he meets up with the doctor. The doctor sends Ben to investigate the warehouse where the war machines are being built, and he discovers that the war machines are about to attack London.
C-Day will be next Monday, July the 16th.
Chauvinism Day?
That is Computer Day.
Oh, right. The doctor's friend Sir Charles calls in the army to deal with the machines, but the soldiers get annihilated because the war machines can prevent the soldiers' guns from firing. I'd love to know the science behind that. After defeating the soldiers, the war machines begin their rampage across London. With Ben's help, the doctor captures one of the war machines using a magnetic field, and he reprograms it to destroy its creator, Wotan. I'm not sure stabbing it with a screwdriver is quite how programming works, but okay. Whilst reprogramming the machine and handing his cloak to Ben, the doctor drops his TARDIS key and Ben picks it up. I wonder if that will be important later.
I wonder.
The doctor's reprogrammed war machine heads to the top of the post office tower and starts shooting up Wotan's control room. Good thing they have wide lifts in the post office tower. During the shootout, Ben rushes in to save the hypnotised humans. What a hero! No, just saving Polly then. Okay, forget I said hero. With Wotan destroyed, the Doctor slips away to avoid any awkward questions like, Doctor Who? As the Doctor waits outside the TARDIS for Dodo, Ben and Polly arrive to tell him that Dodo has decided to stay here and stop travelling in the TARDIS.
She says she's feeling much better, and she'd like to stay here in London, and she sent you her love.
Her love? There's gratitude for you.
Ben and Polly leave, but get suspicious about why the Doctor is going inside an old police box. And then Ben remembers he's still got the key that the Doctor dropped. They use it to unlock the door to see what the Doctor's doing in there. So they head inside, just as the TARDIS dematerializes.